Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gavin Glow podcast. I'm your host, Gigi. Today I have a very special guest with me here. We have Russell.
Hello.
My boyfriend. You've heard me talk a lot about him, and he was on my third episode, which was almost a little less than a year ago.
That was about Love Island, right?
Mm-hmm.
USA's coming back soon.
I know, I'm excited.
June 3rd.
Can't wait. Russ, do you want to tell us what's been going on since then?
Oh, man. Well, there's so much going on. I mean, we're in a beautiful new home, doing a lot of incredible things together. And, and then it's just, working, getting the house in order, a lot of good things going on. That's I would say that's pretty much the extent of it. It's just like building life.
Yeah. What do you think of the new podcast studio?
I love it. I love the poster boards. I love everything you have going here. I think it's so you, right? I feel like it's you on the walls.
This is my little area to just be chaotic and put whatever colors I want.
It's you, and it's so much fun to see you kind of like express yourself visually when you didn't have as much of an opportunity to do that before. And you can now, like you have literally a whole studio. Basically.
Yeah, I like that I can spread out and just put whatever I want on the walls.
And this is much cozier than the last setup too. Mm-hmm. So, credit to you for putting all that together.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very comfortable. I like the vibes. It's giving like, we're just hanging out. So it's been a while since you've been back here.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much.
I think I do want to do like a separate episode about like the house hunting journey and all that, if that's something that you're interested in talking about at some point. Okay.
Absolutely. It's because it's such a unique journey, and it's one you only go through so many times in your life. Most people only go through it once. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go through it once. We'll probably go through it another time. But I think that this is, it's such a unique story to talk about. I think with, what we went through with it, with searching and all that stuff, and like getting like, we'll talk about it in the episode, but there really is a lot of context there of like how that journey can go. And our journey was easy compared to others, realistically. It really was. But we got lucky.
Yeah. Didn't feel easy, but I think, and I think, it'll be helpful for people to just like hear just the ins and outs of it and kind of how it can, take a toll on you.
Well, house hunting really, and we can talk about this in that episode, is like, it's really a gamble. It's a high stakes gamble.
Yeah.
Because you have your interest rates. There's a lot of different factors that go into it, of you striking when the iron's hot and you feel like it's the best moment for you and your family. And I think that's something that, a lot of people don't really realize. It's not something that's a realization when you get to that moment. And then when that moment happens, you're like, oh my God, did I do it right? Mm-hmm. And then the after effects and there's always the thought of buyer's remorse and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's settling.
Okay. So we'll get into it. We'll get into all of that next time.
100%.
But this time, and I have my handy dandy notes here because I've been working very hard on this episode.
Yeah.
But we are talking about Hurry Up Tomorrow, the Weeknd's newest, I guess, first movie.
Tour promotion.
No, it's so much more than that. It's so good. I kind of wanted to, because I watched some interviews about it. Did you watch any interviews about it?
I didn't get a chance to look at a lot of interviews. I looked at other reviews from like influencers and those kind of individual content creators of what they thought about the movie afterwards. And they had some unique perspectives. We've talked about it, obviously, like of the meaning underlining and all that kind of stuff. I feel like there's definitely a lot to talk about, and then stuff I heard from creators as well.
Okay.
Some cool insights.
So I figured we could first start with our interpretation of it. I wanted to go through like a couple like key points about it. And then I wanted to go into, I would listen to this one interview that I really liked, and I liked some of the things that he said. So I kind of wanted to go over that. And so then at that point, if you wanted to share any of your creator insights, we can do that.
100%.
And then I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Can we just start off by saying that I think that Jenna Ortega just carried the entire movie? Like, I think her acting was phenomenal.
She was
And I
awesome.
feel like her acting, like, Barry Keoghan was okay. The Weeknd was, no offense, love him as an artist, I don't think he's the greatest actor.
What?
Yeah.
You're joking.
No,
I feel
I'm
like,
serious.
oh my God, I thought it was so good. I feel like it was exactly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
I feel like he was doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing.
It felt very forced from him, and it didn't feel like genuine acting. Whereas, like, with Jenna, it felt like she was telling a story. Whereas with The Weeknd, like, and in my opinion, how I look at the movie is the movie has a very unusual plot, right? Where it's like, you know, and I'm sure you'll talk about this as well, where he's going through a concert and then the burnout and all that kind of stuff. But they don't clearly describe, like, okay, like, what is Jenna Ortega to The Weeknd? They don't describe that. And that's something you kind of had to, like, after watching the movie and understanding reviews and breakdowns and all that stuff, then you kind of get an idea. So,
but I feel like we kind of already knew. Like,
you knew, I didn't.
Oh, okay, so I knew.
Yeah.
I was like, I could, like, I don't know. It was just, it felt really. It was very much my type of movie.
Sure.
I do like more of like an artsy movie where it's like kind of confusing and you're kind of like, what the heck is going on? I really liked that.
Yeah, I will say visually, the movie was phenomenal. I think the production level of this movie was one of the better movies this year, if you look at it from a production point of view. Like, it could win an Emmy of some sort because of its production, but the story just did not feel strong enough to carry through. And there were moments where I was laughing, and it wasn't a moment of laughter. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Like, I feel like it was supposed to kind of make you be like, what the heck, you know? Like, I feel like where you were laughing, like, I feel like it was meant to, like, I feel like his certain, like, facial expressions and things like that, like, I think they are supposed to be kind of funny.
I will say there is a call out, though, where they're waking up in the morning, right? And Jenna is, like, ranting at him, right? After she gets off the phone call with mom, and she's, like, screaming at him, saying, like, you wanted me here, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And he's like, shut up. Yeah. Like, and the acting just felt like it just did not feel authentic. It felt so forced in that moment. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the fakest shut up I've ever heard.
Damn.
It did not, again, but that isn't because of Jenna. And that isn't because of production. That's because of The Weeknd's lack of acting experience. That's something you can foster over time.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I just have such a different take. And I'm like, am I, like, delusional? Because, like, I just feel like he's so, like, artsy in this way. And I feel like he's had so many, like, music videos where he's, like, been portraying, like, a story.
When you look at his acting history, right? You look at Uncut Gems, which he made himself. The Michael Jackson movie, he was an actor in it, but that's from 2016, right? Michael Jackson, like, they did, like, a tribute movie for him and all that kind of stuff, and he was in it. But you look at, like, actual acting of, like, something from him. This is his acting debut.
Yeah.
Which is why I give him the benefit of the doubt of
second debut. First one was The Idol.
He was on the TV. Yeah. You're right. You know, you can look at The Idol, late night shows, Tonight Show, The Voice, like, but acting in a TV show like that is different from performing in a movie, right? This movie is supposed to be a story of some sort, whereas The Idol or The Voice and all those, it's not reality TV, but it's like a musical production. Where The Weeknd excels is in his music, right? Because it's phenomenal. But it's just his acting just is not there. But you look at someone like Jenna Ortega, who, like I said at the beginning, carried the whole movie in terms of her acting chops, in my opinion.
Just to be clear, The Idol is not like American Idol.
Oh, okay.
The Idol is like it's a fictional TV show. It had Lily Rose Depp as the main girl as well. So it is like a scripted show. It's not a like competition show. Just to make sure, because I could tell that you thought it was like American Idol.
Yeah, no. Like a spinoff. Yeah. But,
no.
So when I look at it, right, when you look at The Idol on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 19 foul tomato rating and a 41% public critic rating.
Okay.
Now you look at this movie, right?
Coming to me with the facts.
15% on the tomato meter rating, 65% on the popcorn, the public meter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So both things that The Weeknd has been an actor in, there are 15 and 14% on the Rotten Tomato meter, and that is professional critics. That's not the public, right? And then you can even look at the public critic rating. Neither one of them is above 70%. This one's 65. The Idol is 40-something, 47.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and I hate, this is going to sound mean, I think The Weeknd should stick to music and music videos and maybe production behind the scenes.
Okay, I feel like you probably will.
Yeah.
I do feel like I don't know, I feel like this was just a continuation of like the universe that he's been building for a little bit. I feel like he's just, because his last couple albums, you know, they were kind of all connected in like the cinematography of the music videos of it all. And so I feel like he is a good visual storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
But you also kind of had to go into the movie like kind of seeing it through the lens of like an extended music video. It's kind of like that same, like the short film for the deluxe album that Ariana Grande put out for the Brighter Days album. Like she made like a little short film with the music, and I feel like a lot of artists are really like into doing that right now, and I really like that. I love like a
Justin Bieber did that as well. Like when he did his I guess that was a movie about his tour. I thought that happened.
That was like are you talking Never Say Never 3D?
Yeah.
I was forced to go see that with my mom. I did leave a believer though. She really wanted to go see it.
You were a believer then?
Well, yeah, because I wasn't really into it. I was definitely more One Direction, and then she made me go with her to see it, and I was like, wait.
You hear that, One Direction fans? She's a believer.
I'm both. I like them both. But so yeah, well, we already touched on it, but one of the first things I was wanting to talk about was like the cinematography.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Because it was so good. I loved it. Like I was eating it up. It was so good, and I really liked that we got to see it in theaters.
Agreed. I think there was that IMAX experience that you just like, you can't replicate that really.
Yeah.
So
I'm really glad that the first time we saw it was in theaters. I think a lot of people probably skipped it in theaters, especially because we were the only people in the theater.
We actually rented out the theater.
Oh, that's right. We're bougie. We rented out the theater for our private showing of Hurry Up Tomorrow. But I think people are going to be kicking themselves for not seeing it in theaters, because I think like that was like the first time that that was how you had to see it the first time.
Yeah. I think that was an experience you had to see in theaters, unless you have like a home theater set up, and that's absolutely incredible. We don't have that. But I think the cinematography, I think especially the scenes where he's in concert and they're doing the concerts, or like the or like the scene when he was like knocked out and like was doing like the elevator stuff and all that, like in the empty city, like those were some of the better cinematography scenes I've seen in movies in a while, especially the concert scenes. I thought those were so well done.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they were taken from the actual concert.
Yeah.
And it felt real.
Yeah. I cannot wait. Like those scenes really made me like, I'm so excited for us to go.
Yep.
Speaking of the concerts and like the concert scenes, the one where he loses his voice, you had told me that was real. Like
I
that
thought
really,
it was.
It is. Well, it was real.
So there was.
He talked about it in. He talked about it in like interviews that actually happened.
The story about him losing his voice in a concert is real.
Yeah.
That scene in the movie is not that moment. Right? They filmed that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it was based on, like, something that really happened to him. Like, you told me that.
Yeah, what had happened is he was in concert. He was just starting. And you just heard this, like, voice crack.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew it. He rushed backstage, and then he came back out and was like, sorry, guys. I'm so sorry to do this. I can't perform for you like this. I can't sing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he like refunded all the fans and he gave them like a free concert or something. And he came back like a few months later. So it was really commendable for him to do that. Like he didn't have to come back and perform, but he did. But he couldn't perform in that state. So like him losing his voice in the movie, yes, it is based on a true story.
Yeah, I didn't know that at first. So like it was cool that like you knew that and you were able to tell me, because I think that also kind of was like that helped me be like, okay, so this is like autobiographical for sure
in a way. And I think what's really cool about it is like it kind of like educated his fan base about that moment too, for anyone who didn't know. Like if you went into this movie and you didn't know, it's a great education moment. So I loved it.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And then I kind of wanted to go into just like the different, like the three mainish characters.
Yeah.
I think there's two like big main ones, and then like a third like second tier one.
Let's
I
do
would
it.
say. So first we can talk about the Weeknd, Abel. Maybe I should let you like explain like your views on his character, and then like I can go in and like explain mine.
Sure. I think so the character is him. Like it is the Weeknd. But I think what this movie is trying to portray is that he's an artist who like really wants to work on his music and doesn't care about the outside world around him except for his ex, where he was completely hung up on her. It was his whole world and everything, and he just felt like everything was too much. Like that was the catalyst that started the moment of like, okay, I can't keep doing this. He didn't want to go out there to do his concerts, but his best friend or brother was essentially like, no, you need to get out there. Those are your fans. This is your money. All that kind of stuff. Where and I'll get into him, when we get there. But I have some thoughts on that I didn't think of in that moment that I thought after. But it's him, right? It's him trying to create music, trying to get over his ex, doing whatever he can, whether it's drugs or drinking or pills or whatever. Like he's trying to get over her and create music, right? Like I think the one scene that really stands out for me is when everyone's partying and he's sitting in the bathroom locked in there playing a keyboard, and he's trying to create music. And I think that kind of stands like in the moment before the concert. Yes, he psychs himself up, does the drugs, all that stuff. But then afterwards, he's like, I need to get away. So, and that kind of goes into like the cab scene where he kind of escapes and then gets into a car with Jenna Ortega. And like, that was his escape. But then like the burnout was so powerful that it kind of forced him into like a psychosis. It was very interesting, but it's him.
Yeah. That scene stood out to me for like a different reason, because I think like that goes into my theory about the third character, so I'm not going to touch on that yet, but we can go back to that.
Absolutely.
So my thoughts, similar, but I think this is his like current like material state. Like I think in my mind, I think he's the only main character that actually like exists.
Yes.
I think the other two are like his parts of his psyche. So, like, I think this is him like under the influence of like the music industry and like perpetuating that cycle of like toxic relationships, like how you see like him, trying to call his ex and like then freaking out and then like calling back again and being like, sorry, I love you, like, and just like, going back and forth crazy. Yep. I think also like just the overworking, the partying, all that stuff is also very driven by like his career and the people around him. And I would say that he was like with all that under the influence of just like the Weeknd persona and the music industry and all that, like it caused him to like struggle from like insomnia, and he started having like that like sleep paralysis. And I think that's kind of like where his like psyche almost started like splitting.
Okay.
And then, you know, he has that like stress induced like laryngitis, like also from just like the overworking and like the partying. And then we also just kind of see like how lonely he is, like inside. It almost seems like he's like trapped. And I think like that's kind of a portion of like what I'm thinking about, like that bathroom scene that you were talking about. Like I feel like that's like him in his mind, and like what's happening out like in the party is like what maybe he was actually doing at the time.
Yeah.
But like in his head, like, you know, he is like, even though he's around so many people, like he's still so lonely and like struggling with, you know, something that he hasn't really like worked through.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where we like see him throughout the movie. And so then I think when he meets Jenna Ortega, like I feel like he like finally
The angel on his
feels
shoulder.
like someone's connecting with him as a person, and not just like what they can use him for, or like just what he can give like the music industry.
Yeah, I think something very interesting about The Weeknd, and I just thought of this. There's a song from his last album, Dawn, and
Dawn
FM, and it's called Less Than Zero. And the lyrics go, "I can't get it out of my head. I can't get rid of this feeling that crawls in my bed," right? And he's talking about like how he can't escape what he's like his own thoughts. And I feel like this movie is a visual expression of that, where he can't get out of his own way and he can't balance things, right? Everything in life requires balance, and he didn't have it. So you see him crashing out because there is that, it's not there. So all the thoughts in his head are kind of exploding at once, and everything is coming out. So I think that's it's very interesting to see how, you know, as an artist, how he's unable to maintain that. So yes. Yeah. And then yes, the angel on the shoulder, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, so we can kind of go into, you know, the Jenna Ortega character. Her name was Amina, but they also call her Ani.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on her, or what do you think her purpose was in the film?
I think her purpose in the film, like when you think like, okay, she might not be a real person, I think she is the version of him that is seeking freedom, that is seeking a way to kind of just admit and admit the truth, kind of like the wording of, oh, the truth will set you free. Like it's him confessing to himself that I did these things, that that my music is all connected and an expression of myself rather than just writing it subconsciously. Like this is that tucked away subconscious of him that's like, I need to get away from this. So like in the beginning, when you see the house burning down, that's kind of like the psyche breaking out and like starting to make its way to him, right? Like the journey from the mountains to him was the journey of his version of his personality there, the subconscious personality there, kind of like getting closer and closer to him, right? And that's something I think that people don't realize is like, is Jenna Ortega's character physically driving over there, stealing gasoline and all that? No, but it's his subconscious getting closer and closer to him, kind of like almost like a demon in a way. It's like it's coming to him. But this is his own mind. This is his subconscious. And I think what's really interesting about the character is that it was incredibly emotional. Jenna Ortega's character was very, very emotional and had issues with family, kind of like how The Weeknd had, or Abel had issues with his family. So there were a lot of similarities between the two that, you know, were very evident. But I think the emotions that she showed kind of like forced, like they were merging in a way, right? Because like, especially like when he's tied down and you hear all the music playing and she's dancing and all this, and he's like breaking down more and more and more. It's their personalities merging in a way, and him kind of becoming who he should be.
Okay. Again, I think I have like a similar take, but
I didn't read your papers.
Maybe like slightly different. No, I think it's like just slightly different. Yeah. I think it's like, yeah, I think it is like a part of him, a part of his psyche. I think it's like the softer, more raw part of him. Maybe the more like honest part of him that is more connected like to his past prior prior to Fame. And I think there are a couple of things that really stood out. Like, this is how, like, I think we all know for a fact that she was not real.
Yes.
The other person I think that was not real, I think it's like
the next character
more like more up in the air, maybe not as like confirmed. I think it's confirmed, but like maybe other people could say it's not.
I have a theory on it.
But I would say like throughout the movie while I'm watching it, like this is how I knew it was definitely like part of him, is like when she was crying at that new song immediately that he was playing, and like she said like, oh, like I think it's like about me. And I think like that just like solidifies my theory that it was like a part of him that's like more connected to like his past. Yep. And like knows the truth about him, knows him like deep down like as a human,
yeah,
not as the Weeknd, and is trying to, you know, reconnect the Weeknd to like that part of himself and be more able.
Yeah, something I found interesting was I didn't realize she was fake until after the movie, and we had talked about it and like thought about it. But where I got the hint was where she was on the phone with her mom, and she was like, the mom was saying like, "Oh, you ruined everything. You ruined this family, all this kind of stuff." And we knew earlier before that where the Weeknd was having that same issue with his mom or family, and it was like, oh, that makes sense. There's a connection there. A lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah. I also thought like it was kind of interesting how you know, she was using the gasoline to like burn down her old life, kind of leave her old life behind, make the travel to the Weeknd, whatever, fills up the gasoline tank again.
There's also the song Gasoline.
Well, that's what I was about to say. And then like she plays the song Gasoline for him, and I feel like that's all connected. Yep. And I think that 100%. Also is like another Easter egg.
Yep.
Kind of.
Totally an Easter egg. Loved it.
Yeah. I liked that too. Any other final thoughts about or any like call outs?
Sure. I think it's just really good to reiterate, like, her acting was phenomenal in this movie, and the character had a lot of like underlining meanings which were great to explore. Again, I thought she carried the movie.
Yeah. I also feel like, you know, because, you know, we see there's a part where he's in the bathtub and he's like laying there and he like is freaking out, can't move, and like something's like coming at him, and like we kind of figure out that that's his like like sleep paralysis. And so I think like she is in a way like his sleep paralysis demon, because he's like stuck to the bed, like can't move, like whatever. And I feel like that's like a very similar, like when you are experiencing sleep paralysis, like you're like you feel like you're stuck, like you can't get out. And so I think it was very much like reminiscent to that.
Absolutely.
So I think that was also,
it was so like, well done. Like I really thought like that like the character it was just well done.
So the third character, the least important main character, but still important because he does, I think, represent like
Sabrina
something
Carpenter's
specific. Yeah, Barry Keoghan. I forget his name in the movie, but he was the manager / like best friend. What part do you think he plays in this movie?
So just looked it up. The character's name is Lee.
Lee, that's right.
And I feel like the purpose, and here's my theory on this. I think Lee was a real person from his past, right? But someone who pushed him to kind of like become a star, like get into music more, right? Like the explode onto the scene, like his business side. But I think in this movie, the purpose of Lee is like that connection to the superstardom to force him to keep performing and nonstop and like kind of embrace overworking, which is not good. So it's kind of like Jenna Ortega's character was the angel on his shoulders. Lee was the devil on his shoulders, saying like, yes, do this. This is your career. These are your fans. Like this, like kind of embracing that dark side of like, you need to keep going. And like him knocking on the door was him trying to get back in when Jenna Ortega's character got into his head. So it's a fight to get into Abel's head and who dictates what he does.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, get comfortable. You know, so I think the character was very not appealing to me. I do agree, like, he was not a main character. He was definitely a supporting character. But I do think that the purpose of his character is impactful because it's saying, hey, you can either choose to keep overworking yourself and pay the consequences, or Jenna Ortega's character and admit to yourself, like, hey, you need to balance things and be honest with yourself. Whereas Barry's character is like, oh, you don't need to be honest with yourself. Like, excuse my language.
You can say whatever you want. I don't.
He's like, you're the fucking man. Like, these your fans. You get out there. All this stuff, forcing him, even with the doctor's rest. And you saw the only thing that Lee cared about was not his health, but was the Weeknd getting back out there and performing. He didn't care about the health of the Weeknd. He just cared about the business. He wasn't really his best friend or his brother. You know, he was, you know, a bad person.
Yeah. Well, I think that I don't think he was a person, but I think he was just like the part of his psyche that represented like the toxicity of like the music industry and just like that like voice in his head that encourages him to like keep partying, overworking, and like what, like you said.
Yeah.
I think like what kind of pointed that out to me was like, you know, when they're in the club and at first like they're together and he's having a good time, whatever. And then he ends up like separated from him for a second.
Yeah.
And he like seems so like lost and like confused and like scared.
Yep.
And so I feel like it was like his like psyche like almost like lost in his head, while like the alter ego that like I think Lee represents of like the partying and all that is like out there just going crazy. And I feel like that was trying to kind of show like that he was like, I don't know, like scared and like lost in his head. And I feel like he's like lost in his head almost, you know?
100%.
And then like that same thing where I was telling you, like when they're partying in the hotel room and Abel's in the bathroom, like writing the new song. I feel like that's also like a portion of like him, like his consciousness almost like going into like the back of his head and just like working through things on his own, but then like on the outside he's partying. And like I think like Lee is like him, but like that party side of him, like that's kind of the vibes that I get. And then I also think like the portion where like he breaks in and like it's like a struggle between Ani and Lee. And then when she, you know, kills him, it's almost like, you know, kind of showing that like this side is gonna win, kind of, and almost like releasing him from like the holds of like the music industry, or like that it has on his experiences.
Well, you notice as soon as Lee dies in the movie, right? Like all of a sudden Abel starts to become more and more self-realizing of like, hey, like I need to tell the truth here. Like he starts to become more agreeable to Jenna Ortega's character, to that side of him, to Ani's side. So it's like that side prevailed, which is like the good side prevailing if you look at it from that point of view of like, that side of him is gone now in a way. And then you see how he acts differently, like once you get to the end of the movie, right? Because that hotel and everything was all in his head, and you see it. The transition was so cool, but like it left you with a question of like, oh, did all that really happen in his head? Yes. So I thought it was really like interesting of how they pulled that off. It was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like all I wanted to talk about as far as like our overview of like the movie and like our thoughts. I also took some notes on the interview that I listened to with him. So it was with him and Trey Shults, who is the guy who made the movie with him. And they were interviewed by Sally, who she was a great interviewer. I've never watched an interview of hers before, but I thought she did like an amazing job. She asked them both what words that they live their lives by. And I just thought that it was like really impactful, but also very connected to the movie. So The Weeknd said that his would be, don't be discouraged by failure. Failure is the best. And like there was some words in between it. And then he says like failure is the best school. And I really liked that, especially because, you know, I feel like because I jumped into the podcast kind of like unprepared, and I'm still like working on getting better. So I feel like low key, like I've been like failing, I guess you could say. But I feel like, I'm learning as I go. So I thought that really resonated with me. But I think like the end of the movie is really him like accepting like that toxicity, and like he's been like kind of embracing and embodying his whole life, and he's realizing that like he's failed the people around him, because he says that like I think once or twice in the movie. And then he's like emerging from the flames with like a new mission and like a new perspective on life. So I thought like that kind of quote really like connected. And then Trey Shults, he said, be honest with yourself, don't bury stuff, which I think was also a big theme in the movie as well. And these are like words that they live by, so I guess that makes sense. But he said, like, I think that sentiment, like, for him just like really reflects like in Jenna Ortega's character, and how she's like, asking him to be, she's like, you got to be honest with yourself, and like he's not free like from like the torment until he is. And then Trey really focuses on like mental health in his work, because both of his parents, I think, were therapists, he was saying. But the concepts of doing like your self work and owning your shit are like very important to him, and I think are very prevalent in the film. So, but that's what he was saying in the interview. So I thought that was kind of cool. Kind of adds like perspective to kind of what the movie was about.
100%.
They said that the early versions of the movie was called War of the Soul. Isn't that fitting?
I feel like that would have been such a better name compared to Hurry Up Tomorrow.
But he said, well, Trey thought that it was like a pretentious title, so.
See, and I don't think it's really that pretentious, because like that's essentially like if you had to summarize the movie into a title, War of the Soul sounds really appropriate for that.
Yeah, but I do think it's like, I think it's almost like in that, I think it had to be called Hurry Up Tomorrow, because I think it's almost like that Mamma Mia of it all. You know what I mean? Like how it's like, you make a movie about like songs.
Yeah, but Mamma Mia didn't have a tour.
You have to name one.
Huh?
You have to name it after one of the songs.
Do you though? Because
Kinda.
like War of the Soul is not a name in the album.
Well, that's why they changed it, but that was just what like they originally called it.
But I feel like when you look at,
that was like the early name. It wasn't what they were actually gonna name it.
But it sounds like such a better name. It really does. It would have made more sense, because like when you named it Hurry Up Tomorrow, or like when it was named Hurry Up Tomorrow, name of the tour, Hurry Up Tomorrow. So you look at it, right, and you're like, well, in my head, I was like, oh, this is a promotion for his tour. Oh, you watched the movie, you like the music in the movie. Oh, you could see it live in the tour. Oh, there's an album. Like there's a lot of different parts that are all called Hurry Up Tomorrow. And it's like, well, it felt disingenuous to do a movie if you're going to call it Hurry Up Tomorrow. Versus if you did something like War of the Soul, I feel like that just has such a more powerful meaning. But just don't say featuring The Weeknd or any of that. Like, it really felt like overall the movie, again, like the production value was great. Some of the story was good. Jenna Ortega was fantastic. But the movie overall really felt like a promotion of his tour. Hey, you can listen to all this music in the movie. Guess what? He's going to be in your city in 2 months.
Yeah. Okay. Hater.
Anyway. I'm a fan of him. But I just don't. And listen, I can appreciate a good movie when it's good. I can appreciate production when it's good. I'm excited to see his concert. We're going. I'm excited to see it and see the production of it. I bet you, a lot of what you saw in the movie is probably going to be similar to what you saw in concert, or what you see in concert.
She also asked about like the repetitive themes of toxic relationships in his music and the movie, and kind of like where that stems from. And so he had said that it stems from his connection with like sad, darker songs and films growing up.
Okay.
But the end of the movie was essentially like lighting the like Weeknd persona on fire and being reborn, because he's kind of gotten to the point where he doesn't want to be in that like sad headspace anymore, and he kind of believes that the best sad songs are from like ones that really happen to you, and he's kind of realized that he's putting himself in these situations and like diving deeper into the darkness, for the sake of his art, and he kind of wants to back away from that a little bit. So I think that's obviously like very much what this movie is about, and he kind of wants to detach from the music a little bit more as well. In that sense. So like this movie is just like about him like facing the dark parts of the Weeknd persona and like being reborn. He says it's
Be
like
able.
Yeah, well, he can't like fully lose the Weeknd persona, but at least like lose like the like darker parts of it. And he kind of says that like the music industry like wants your sadness, and I think he's trying to like push back on that. So like kind of what you were saying, well, it's a be able. So that's what the interview was asking him, like, well, what's next for the Weeknd? Are you like fully leaving him behind? And he was like, well, no, I can't. I have a tour. But he kind of said like he made like a comparison to, remember when he had like the longer hair, like where he used to wear it like in like a ponytail and then it all like like a little like beetroot.
I remember that.
When he
beetroot.
You know what I'm talking about. But
what a comparison there. Wow.
He said like when he cut his hair, it like that was also like a rebirth for him, and like almost like a way to like shed his skin and like burn off that these are the words he used. Burn off the what's lingering that's triggering him to lose his voice. Like that's like why he wanted to kind of do that this time. Last time when he was saying he was cutting the hair, he wanted to cut the hair. He just felt like it was kind of restricting him, and they were like, oh, but that's like your brand. And he was like, oh, well, I don't want to be shackled to anybody's brand. So he just cut off his hair. They were all like,
Beetroot days were when he was doing like the 50 Shades of Grey music and all that stuff.
That's the Hills.
Yeah, the Hills and all that. That's where he had the beetroot hair, dude.
Yeah. So then the just kind of like final sentiments the interviewer asked, and the two of them like had a mixture of these quotes, but I can't remember who said what. But they were saying the main takeaways are: failure is okay, take risks, jump 2 feet in. You have to start somewhere, so just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Get outside of your comfort zone. And the Weeknd said, if you're not nervous, you don't care. He's still nervous every time he goes out on stage, and he said he likes that because it makes him know that he still cares. Yeah. The last thing I just wanted to say, like watching this interview and like watching this movie, like I've genuinely never seen this man speak before this point. I like realized in the movie, I was like, it took me so long to like really connect because I feel like his face and his voice just like don't really match. And like, but then like, and in my head, he's like, the Weeknd, and I don't know, like, it's hard to like imagine him as like a person. So like watching him like be in the movie, and like I've never seen him do interviews. Like everyone's saying that it's like rare that he does interviews. So I mean, I'm assuming that's the case because I've literally never seen one until recently. And so I was just thinking like, I'm actually like really like impressed by him as like a person. I guess like I think he's just like actually like kind of a genius.
He's a likable person. Yeah.
But I think he's like a genius, and he has such like artistry behind like his stuff. Like I feel like everything he puts a lot of effort into it. It's very like method almost, which like you don't see a lot from music, which I think is probably part of his problem, but it's also part of his genius. But it was just made me think of his Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh yeah.
House, and just kind of like I'm sure he kind of played a part in that as well, like in the like artistry behind it, and like the story that they wanted to tell, because it was like a continuation of the music videos he was putting out, So I just it's so cool like to kind of see it all like come together. And like
that was when Dawn FM had just dropped as well, and you can definitely tell like a lot of the expressions in Dawn FM were visualized in that house.
And the album before that,
yes,
what was that one?
Was that Starboy?
No.
No, it was.
It was the one that Blinding Lights is on.
Oh, yes. It was
where he has the blood coming out of his mouth.
Yes, where it's like he's like looking up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a fantastic album too. Let's see, After Hours.
After Hours, yeah.
Yeah, After Hours. It's actually really funny. It's Hurry Up Tomorrow, then it's Starboy Deluxe, then it's Dawn FM, then After Hours. Yeah, that's right. I guess he did a re-release of Starboy. It's 2023. But then
that's weird.
OG Starboy dropped right before After Hours.
I didn't know he dropped a Starboy Deluxe. Well, anyway.
Yeah. Surprise.
I didn't know that. I have a couple questions. Ooh,
yeah.
I didn't want to show them to you.
I have not seen them.
I have a couple questions here. You can hold the...
Sure.
You can hold the microphone. You're so lucky.
Wow.
Okay. So, what is your favorite song from the movie?
Okay. I am a huge fan of Sao Paulo. I think it's a fantastic song, but they didn't play it in its entirety throughout the whole thing.
That's okay, as long if they just did a little snippet of it.
They did a little snippet of it. It was from the party scene. Probably one of my favorites. I think Open Hearts was another really, really good one. The song at the end that I just can't remember the name for the life of me, like the one that he played on the recording.
I think it's a new song.
It is. I listened to it at like their actual version.
You have to tell me what it's called because I wasn't sure where to find it.
I think it's called Without a Warning or Red Terror. It's one of those two.
Okay. Well, my favorite song from the movie was the song that they're listening to in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Or no. Gasoline was my favorite song.
Okay. See, I'm so upset that they didn't do One of the Girls or Less Than Zero. Like, I feel like Less Than Zero would have fit the movie perfectly, especially like in that car. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, oh my god, yes, we're gonna get Less Than Zero, and then it wasn't it.
Yeah. Well, my favorite scene from the movie was when they were in the car. So,
sure.
like, that's the only reason why I wanted to save like that song for this question. Do you know what that song was?
I have to listen to I'd have to watch the movie.
Was it called like Drive or something like that?
It might have been
called Drive.
No, there's no song called Drive in the album.
Oh.
But what we can do is, oh no, there is a song called Drive. You're right. It is Drive.
Oh.
I didn't think there was a song called Drive. Oh well.
Oh, look at me, again.
So smart.
Always right.
Yep.
When I say something, I feel like your reaction shouldn't be no, because it's usually
I
right.
forgot that there was a song called Drive.
So your favorite scene was...
The concert scenes, I think, were the best. But if I had to pick a specific one, it's the second one where you see him like go down the elevator. I think that was the second one. Okay. I loved it.
Okay. What's your favorite Weeknd song?
Less Than Zero.
Okay. Mine is... Do you want to know mine?
Sure. Let's hear it. The people want to know.
Well, you didn't say what's yours.
What's your favorite?
I'm like, well, mine is.
Yeah.
Since no one's asked.
It's your show.
My favorite is The Hills.
Classic.
It's my favorite Weeknd
Is the
song.
reason why it's one of your favorites is because that was the time of 50 Shades?
No, I never watched. I cannot watch 50 Shades of Grey. Like, okay. And it's not, I don't, like, mind you, like, I can read smut, like, all day.
Yeah.
I can read it all day. There's something about 50 Shades that just made me feel so awkward and uncomfortable. Like, the movie, like, it just was not the vibe. I literally had, like, put it on to try to watch it because I had never watched it before. It came on TV, and because I was at my mom's house. And it was on cable. Yeah. So I put it on and I was watching it. And I was like, no.
Like, no.
I ended up like... Sorry.
No, please.
No, I ended up turning it off or like pausing it, whatever. No, I turned off the TV and I went to do something else. So my mom came home, like she had like turned on the TV and she's like, oh, like 50 Shades. Like...
You're like,
and I was like, well, no, I was like, no, I literally turned it off. I hated it. And she was like, oh, okay.
I think The Hills is literally like an audible smut.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a
like,
great song.
I don't know. It's just such a vibe, and you know, like especially like when you're gardening.
It's the beetroot era.
You're like, Yeah. Like, you just want to do the body roll.
Yeah.
What'd you say yours was again? I forgot.
Less than zero.
Less than zero. Okay, that was good. I thought that was your answer for another one. I was about to say you can't have the same answer.
Yes, I can.
Well, what's your favorite overall album? Doesn't have to be the same song that you're. Wait, I'm surprised that it wasn't One of the Girls. That's what I thought it would be.
One of the Girls is up there. It's like top 5 for me.
Okay,
it's really good.
Okay, sorry, album.
But I think I think Less Than Zero has a deeper story to it that I like.
Okay.
Because it's self-actualization.
Okay.
I think my favorite album. That's a tough one. It's either Starboy, because I started becoming a fan of The Weeknd with Starboy, or After Hours.
Okay. I'm gonna go Starboys too, because I think that was like probably the album that I like the most songs off of.
But I will say After Hours, because that has the collab with Ariana Grande.
Save Your Tears.
Yeah. Save Your Tears is also an incredible song.
They're one of my favorite, like, work wife and husband.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I feel like it's like The Weeknd and Ariana, and then it's like SZA and Kendrick.
Okay.
Like, I feel like they're also...
I just the chemistry that The Weeknd and Ariana Grande have when they sing together is it's phenomenal.
Well, you know what I would have said my favorite song is, but it's not really a Weeknd song. He's just featured. Like, my favorite, like, growing, and when I was in high school, this song was like literally like my everything.
It was T.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it the Ariana one with Weeknd?
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. I know what song you're talking about.
You said it's T. Now you're making me forget. It's Love Me Harder.
Yeah.
I don't know why you made me blank, but no, I was always obsessed with that song, but he's only featured, so I can't say that song as my favorite. So The Hills is my favorite.
Why can't you say that's your favorite?
Okay, well then that's my top favorite, and The Hills is my second favorite.
Done.
What song are you most looking forward to hearing on tour?
If it's not Less Than Zero, it's One of the Girls.
Okay.
I'd love to hear One of the Girls live.
Those are both on the set list?
Yes.
You know what's also on the set list?
What? The Hills?
The Hills.
I have not seen the set list.
I'm so freaking excited!
I have not seen the set list yet.
I had to check because I wanted to know my answer to this question, but I wanted to make sure it was one that was on.
Yeah. That's valid.
So it was The Hills and Starboy. I think I'm also very excited for
Starboy's not on the set list too?
Starboy.
Oh, that's going to be so good. I'm so excited. You're like, yeah.
I'm a Starboy.
We'll have to come back and we'll have to talk about the tour.
Yeah.
Part 2.
We will. So I think this is going to be a funny question.
Okay. I'm ready.
If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. We can cut it.
Okay.
But I watched a interview where The Weeknd said that his dream blunt rotation is Jar Jar Binks and Goofy, along with some other people I didn't know.
Jar Jar Binks and Goofy.
So what would yours be if you did do that sort of thing?
If I did, which I don't, if my dream rotation, that's a hard one.
I don't know why he went with fictional characters. It can be anybody.
It could be fiction. If it could be fictional, I mean, like.
Yeah, he went with Goofy. I would have never gone with Goofy.
If I were to do fictional, I would go Peter Griffin.
Well, you can do a mix if you want to do like some like real and some fake.
I'll do one real and one fake.
Okay.
I'll do Peter Griffin.
Okay.
Because I'd love to know what he's like. That's state. And for real, I gotta go Snoop. I gotta go the OG. Snoop and Peter Griffin in a circle.
Okay.
Imagine the chaos from that.
You could have more if you wanted. I think for me, I'm gonna do
Jar Jar Binks as well. Jar Jar Binks would have to be.
You want Jar Jar Binks?
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay, so maybe
Misa High.
Maybe you and The Weeknd can coordinate.
100%.
So you can both be in with Jar Jar Binks.
Hit me up, Abel.
Maybe you guys are Jar Jar Binks. Dream blunt rotation.
You never know. Some random dude who lives here in Florida and The Weeknd.
Yeah. Well, men are not allowed in my Dream Blunt rotation.
Oh, okay.
So,
Jar Jar Binks is not a man, but okay.
well, anyway, no male energy.
Star Wars hater.
Mine would be, I think, Final at One Male. Only because I think it'd be it.
Yeah.
I think we'll let the Weeknd in.
Oh,
I'll let the Weeknd in. But then I also want Ariana, Taylor, and Lana.
Of course, it's your favorite artist.
But I think that they all have very different like vibes.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be fun.
You got, especially if you were to do that, you got to do it in the middle of the day when there's chemtrails in the sky.
Yeah.
So Lana's like, chemtrails!
So we can have chemtrails over the country club.
Yep, and you all can sing it together. What a collab that would be. Just imagine Taylor and Ariana doing a verse of it each, and
I feel like Lana would be cool. The Weeknd would be cool. I also like I showed you this song. If we were going features, another top Weeknd song would be Lust for Life.
Yeah.
And a Lust for Life.
Yeah, Lust for Life.
With Lana. That's a good one. So
So
I'd have The Weeknd with both Lana and Ariana. I'd make them all sing the songs that I like them to sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Taylor Swift would just be silly. I think she'd be in the corner like dancing, kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. That would be pretty funny. I like that. Like, if I had to look at features too, the one with The Weeknd that's in the movie The Black Panther is really good too.
I wouldn't know it.
God, I have it somewhere. It's really good. It's really, really
I
good.
mean, I feel like I might know it. I just can't think of it. Okay. Well, those are all my questions.
Well, those were great questions. I'm impressed.
Thank you. We have to do our daily affirmation for a badass, which we always do.
Okay.
But I'll let you pick it today.
Okay.
So I'll let you go ahead and pick one. And then read it to the people.
I am enough. I am me. I am so fucking worth it. That's actually perfect.
Right.
That's perfect for what we talked about this episode with The Weeknd.
Yeah, that is. I love it. I love it.
That's good.
I feel like they're like little fortunes. They always kind of match.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going through.
I love that.
Well, I think that's really it for today. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Hurry Up Tomorrow. So please comment, DM, email me if you have any thoughts that you want to share. Also, if you're liking the pod, please leave me a rating on Spotify or like on YouTube. And don't forget to follow or subscribe and watch new episodes every Tuesday now. Lastly, please DM me stories or email them to gabandglowpodcast@gmail.com. I am always accepting stories like worst dates, worst breakups, family drama, crazy exes, honestly, any crazy lore. Drop it to me to be read on the pod anonymously. Any parting words from our lovely guest?
Just continue to be the amazing, beautiful people that you are. And yeah, always remember, you are enough.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks for gabbing with me today.
Thank you so much. I feel like I'm glowing.
And don't everybody forget to keep on glowing. Bye.
Bye.